Hi, I'm making this video because I have a really sick parakeet. He became sick right before the holidays in December, and his signs and symptoms were he was sitting on his perch and he was bobbing his head back and forth, gazing left and right, moving his head left and right, acting very lethargic, standing at the bottom of his cage, and he wasn't really eating that much and he wasn't really drinking that much. So obviously he got very weak. Then he started flapping his wings spastically, like almost like he had a seizure. So I brought him to the vet, and the vet said he was very dehydrated. So she gave him a shot of subcutaneous fluids, and you know, I brought him back home and he seemed to respond. But before I left, I asked, she wanted to run like $1,000 worth of tests. She wanted to do blood work. She wanted to put him under anesthesia and do x-rays to see if he had a brain tumor or something else going on with his heart that could be causing this. So I said, well, can we just first, she checked his poop and said that there was no bacteria. But she said that these neurologic signs could be a sign of some kind of bacterial infection. So we put him on enrofloxacin, which crosses the brain barrier. And we also put him on meloxicam, which is an anti-inflammatory and painkiller. And we did all this to see if he'd respond. And after a week, he did respond a little bit, but then he started to get the signs and symptoms again of bobbing his head. So we put him on a second, I think it was Clavamox, which is for respiratory infections, because he did start to sneeze a little bit, but then he wasn't really responding to that. In fact, it made him worse. I think he was getting a sick stomach from it. So I brought him back for another injection of water, just for his dehydration, and I was syringe feeding him water every few hours. Just like a little bit at a time, couple drops at a time. And it was important to keep him warm, keep him in a quiet place. But Monday, which was 5 days ago, I came home from work to check on him, and he was laying on his stomach, flapping his wings out to the side. And he couldn't lift up his head. He was so weak. I grabbed him, brought him to the vet. She wanted to put him in ICU. Now she said he was too weak to do blood work, too weak to do x-rays. And she wanted him in ICU for 3 days. But this vet closes at 5 p.m. and opens at 9 a.m., which means he'd be in ICU all night by himself. And I know what kind of care I give him around the clock. I wake up every 2 hours. I syringe him some water. I hold him. If I hear flapping around, I make sure he's not flipped over. I position him on rolled up towels, so it's like a little perch for him. And I have him in a warm room, and I know that he's doing well because he's home with me. I couldn't think of leaving him there unattended all night long, and she was not happy with me. In fact, she said, find another doctor. So I went online and I did some research, and I just want to share it with you because if you feel desperate for help like I did, because this place is the only bird doctor in my area, so I have no other choices, I decided to do what experts online say and what others who raise birds and breed them, what they say. So a lot of suggestions were apple cider vinegar with the mother in it. I guess if it doesn't have the mother in it, it's no good for them. So get the apple cider vinegar unpasteurized with the mother in it. Use 1 capful and pour it into a gallon of water. Shake it up, pour it in a little bowl, and then syringe feed it to your baby. Okay, so I use this little syringe, and I just pull it back just a little, and I do just a couple drops, and I put the apple cider vinegar in a bowl like this, after putting it in that gallon and shaking it up. And then I wrap them in a towel, and I just try to drop it towards the bottom beak, and then let him drink it, let him swallow it, and keep doing that. The other thing, and I do that every few hours. The other thing I do is I research and found out that kale is really good for them. And if you give it to them wet, look at this. And you're not going to believe how much he's thriving right now. Look at this. Hey, Sparky, say hello. This is not the same bird on Monday that was laying on its stomach and wouldn't lift his head. Oh, and the vet told me to put him down. If I wasn't willing to, you know, put him in ICU, then I should consider putting him down. I'm so glad I didn't listen to her, because look at him. He's eating the kale. I put his food, I sprinkled it all over the kale. I also take the water and I go like this and I drop it onto the leaves like this. And he licks the water up. He loves it. Here you go, Sparky. Drink your water. So, I read that this is a good way for them to get their nutrition, to get their water. I only have his water bowl in there now, but I didn't have it in there when he was very sick, because you don't want a sick bird to flop and get disoriented and land in their water dish and drown. So, watch this. I'm just putting it all over the leaves. He sees me doing it. Here, Sparky, have some water. And then the other thing that I found out online, and I kind of heard the doctor say this, if she put him in ICU, she would have put protein, a meal high in protein directly into his crop. So what I've done is, fortunately, he is eating on his own. Now, if he wasn't eating on his own, then definitely seek the aid of a vet, because they need to eat or they'll die. But the fluids is another thing. Like, every once in a while, you could get subcutaneous fluids given to rehydrate them. But I've been doing it through the dropper, and he takes it for me. But I'm really fortunate that he never stopped eating. Maybe he went through a couple of days where he wasn't eating that well, but now he's eating great. And what I found out through my research is this food. This is egg food, and it's high in protein. And the doctor said she would just be giving him a high protein meal directly into his crop to help him get stronger. Well, I'm doing it this way. And as you can see, he loves it. He'll stand here for hours, and he's kind of playing with the leaves. He absolutely loves it. And then the other thing I did, the apple cider vinegar, I only did for one night. I don't want to overdo it. I only did it for one night. It's an antibacterial. It helps clean out their intestines in case he got bacteria in there. But the other thing is, where is it? Vita Drops. I bought the Vita Drops. It's 2 drops into 1 ounce of water. So what I do is I do 4 drops into 2 ounces of water. I stir it up, and then I syringe feed it to him with the little syringe. You just draw it back, and you just put 2 drops in his mouth at a time. That's it. 2 drops. Let him swallow it, and then keep doing it until they told me at the vet that he can have, this is 1 milliliter, he can have 3 of these a day of fluid. Okay, so I've been giving him, I probably give him 1 in the morning, 1 at night, and then a bunch of little drops in between. Okay? So what else? He's thriving right now, and I'm so happy. On Monday, just 5 days ago, he looked like a goner. And the fact that the vet told me that she's not going to keep giving him shots of fluid, I'm going to have to find another vet if that's what I want her to do, because she wants to put him in ICU and run blood work and x-rays. I had no other choices because there is no other bird vets in the area. So I'm happy that people out in the World Wide Web shared their success stories, because that's how I got the idea to use the kale and the apple cider vinegar with Mother and the high protein diet. So I'm sharing this with you because people shared it with me, and it saved my parakeet's life. So I just want you to be able to save your parakeet's life too if you're having an issue. And of course, what's really important is to have clean cage, so clean it every day. No rust. You don't want any rust on the cage. You want fresh water every single day. It's a little extra work, but it's worth it in the end. I moved his friends. As you can see, he's got little friends. Hi, guys. You want to keep them separate from a sick bird, okay? So they've been in separate rooms until last night. I decided to kind of put them close to each other so that Sparky doesn't feel isolated now that he's doing so well. But don't put a sick bird in with the good birds. They're the healthy birds, because the healthy birds will peck at them and they could really hurt them. The other thing is keep the room warm, because then your little bird doesn't have to work so hard. Keep him warm. Keep him quiet until he starts feeling better. And just keep him hydrated and well fed. But before he gets sick, I think you could do all these things. You know, give him his vitamins and his water. Give him kale. Give him a high protein diet. Do some research online. There's a lot of human food that you can cook up. Like I do little macaroni elbows, and I do lentils, carrots, oats. I cook it all up for 20 minutes and feed it to him, and he loves it. So that's preventative by a healthy, clean diet, okay? So I hope this helps. Share it with your friends if you know that they have a sick birdie. And don't give up on him. Don't put him down when the vet says to put him down. Just work with him a little harder. They want to live, and this is a 2-year-old bird. I should be able to get another 10, 15 years out of him if he's treated right. So I'm glad I didn't listen to the doctor, and I hope you all have a good day, and I hope your birdies stay well.